All right, looks like the recording has started, so we'll go ahead and begin. So hello, everyone. This is Rebecca Dallin with the City of Oklahoma City Stormwater Quality and COSWA, the Central Oklahoma Stormwater Alliance. I'd like to officially welcome everyone to this special training event. Thank you for your attendance today. Everyone online will receive a certificate of attendance for today's session if I know your name based on your user ID here in Teams. So if your user ID in Teams doesn't have your full name, if you could type that into chat, that would help me get those sorted out. You can also let me know if you have more than one person watching on the same computer. And of course, if you have any questions about the certificates or haven't received one within a couple of days of this webinar, feel free to email me. And I'm going to go ahead and put my email address into chat for everyone. Okay. Try to keep yourselves muted during the presentation today. If you have any questions, go ahead and type those into chat if you would. Our guest speaker today is Quentin Stampley with Oldcastle Infrastructure. Quentin is originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He has a degree in civil engineering. His professional experience includes 2 years working at DOT doing roadway design and 6 years as a consultant completing structural and hydraulic design projects. Quentin has been in his present position as Stormwater Consultant Engineer with Oldcastle in Houston, Texas for 3 years, and he is a proud father of 2 boys, ages 5 and 2. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen at this time. And thank you, Quentin, for being willing to share your information with us today. So please take it away whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you for that warm introduction. Let me get set up over here and make sure I include my sound. I had to do this once before, and every time you got to figure it out again.
I think they change Teams daily, so never know what you're going to get.
Exactly. Go to your device. All right, I may have to take my Bluetooth, turn my Bluetooth headphones off. Can hear you all?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, now let me see if it'll allow me to share. It'll allow me to share this time. And just also let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, so I'll go ahead and get jumped in. And again, thank you for that introduction. Again, my name is Quentin Stampley. Typically, I do my presentations in person, so I start off with some dad jokes or trivia. So I can't really do that today, so I'll just go, again, jump straight in. I did have my background slide in here. I did go to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And just for those who may be curious, that's what my 2 little boys look like. Right before this presentation, I just did kindergarten lunch with my oldest son. Oh, and that's my beautiful only girl, Breely, who is a Shiba Inu. So today I will be doing a small Oldcastle introduction slash a Hydro International introduction. I'll go over some of our storage solutions and pretreatment solutions. And just like Rebecca said, if you have any questions, feel free to add them to the chat. And if it's something that I cannot address today, I will definitely get you the answer to those burning questions. So typically I'll ask like, who all heard of Oldcastle? Who all heard of Hydro? And since I can't see a round of hands, the background with this is, again, I'm with Oldcastle, and last year in June/July, Oldcastle acquired Hydro International. This was very monumental for the company, especially on the stormwater side, because Hydro International is leading the charge on research and development for your stormwater products, such as anything that falls under the umbrella of treatment. And that is one of the bigger things that we can see moving forward in the Oklahoma market. And here in Texas, it is growing rapidly. But with that, acquisition, it just grew our portfolio and it makes it easier for us to serve our clients to find the best solution for their needs. With that, this is the current coverage map. Our marketing team is working diligently to update it, but this is what legacy Oldcastle looks like. So without the acquisition, everywhere you see in the blue is where we actually have coverage. And with that being said, our U.S. coverage is our headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia, and our global headquarters is in Dublin, Ireland. So as you can see, we really cover a good amount of the United States. And a lot of times when people think of Oldcastle, they see one portion and then they realize it is so many different facets of the company that we have. And we try to do a lot of solution selling too. So whenever that day comes where we get into the market, we probably will bring a lot of different products to you all outside of just stormwater. Jump 2 slides. So this is our legacy portfolio. Each column, your first column, you have pretreatment, second column, filtration, next green infrastructure and detention and infiltration. Looking at this just shows a wide catalog. And with this wide catalog, we are the largest precaster manufacturer in the company. And then also we're able to service engineers across the United States. Every different state has different approvals, different regulations, and this allows us to have different products everywhere to service those markets. It'd be nice in certain markets to add more, and we do have a regulatory team that will get in and work with the officials that are in the state to get things moving, and that is one of the things that I would like to have next is our regulatory guy get in with you all and see what we can start possibly moving in this market. Along with that, again, with the acquisition, we did acquire these additional products where you get baffling, separation, filtration, and bioretention. So adding these additional 5 products is definitely helpful in the market. And we do have some that are actually being tested in the lab, new products that's being tested in the lab to be coming very shortly. So today my focus is going to be on storage solutions, which will be our storm capture and our CUDO, and then we'll talk about pretreatment solutions, which will be our NSBB, downstream defender, and our first defense. So jumping in with our storage solution, storm capture. With that, I guess I can ask a question if anybody feels free to take themselves off of mute just to answer. But has anyone seen any underground detention or possibly see where this can be utilized in the Oklahoma market?
I haven't seen any personally. I think that there are some around here. I think there's a big one that was just installed not too long ago, but I don't remember the location. But yeah, I mean, we got tons of parking lots and streets and parks, and I mean, there's countless opportunities. It just have to be retrofit more than likely.
Understood. Thank you. I was trying to see if I can get it to show who's talking, but it's not working for me. But I'll jump in and give a little background on storm capture. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to just put it in the chat here. Just to start off, you can see the different type of configurations that we can provide for storm capture, and it really just determine or depends on what type of soils you have in the area and what you're actually trying to do. So first we have detention. Here in Texas, we're a very big detention market. Next, you have infiltration. At the bottom, we have retention and also harvesting. I'll jump back to these slides here in a few. Then we also can utilize our storm capture for different things such as irrigation purposes for cisterns and permi capture. This is also us doing solution selling with other product lines within our company with these permeable pavers on top of the system that allow the water to actually drain through those pavers, get treated, remove 80% of TSS out of them, and then be stored underground. And at the bottom, we have the ideal scenario with pretreatment upstream, your detention, and then also filtration modules around the outlet pipes. Now, I did want to jump back into the detention retention because originally when I joined Oldcastle, I was on the engineering side. And a lot of times when I got pulled in on calls, um, there was a big mix up on what they were designing for. Was it detention? Was it retention? It was called out on the plans a lot incorrectly. So I have this little saying that is, I think, very memorable. But when you think of detention, just think about a child having to go to after school detention. They're being held there for a short amount of time and then they get to go home to their families. So with your detention, that's what we're doing. We're holding that water there for a short amount of time. Your outlet pipe is at the bottom, so it's constantly draining out. There is no holding time for that water, but it's being slowed down to replicate the natural state before any impervious area is being put in. Then when we look at below and we see retention, you also see the outlet pipe at the top. And I always say, and I get a little pause when I say it, but you can think of someone going to jail and they're being held there for a much longer time. And that's what we want to do with our water. We're trying to hold it there for a much longer time. So that water has to fill up to a certain elevation in the system before it's actually able to be released. So those are the main differences in the detention retention. And I notice a lot of times when I say that, a lot of people get it and they never have an issue with um, differentiating the two. So with our storm capture, it is a structural precast concrete structure. The inside dimensions of our system is 7 by 15. The outside dimensions are 8 by 16. So it's a very big box. Our inside heights vary from 2 to 12 feet here in the Texas market. Other places, depending on where you're at, that I guess you could say deeper system would be 14 feet. So that's the max we can go. We use standard accesses for maintenance, which is 30 inches in diameter. We can go smaller. We can go larger as well. And we do have interior walls and interior windows. Below my writing, you'll see the SC1. That is our first configuration, which is an open bottom with a base. And that one ranges from 2 to 7 feet. So I always call this one like the bathtub design. So you see it sitting there and it's upright in a bathtub, and we just place a lid on top of it. Whenever we're doing infiltration for that water to drain through the aggregate layer into the soil, we'll just flip that bathtub over to allow that water to drain out. If you go to the right side, we have our SC2 module or configuration, and we call this the clam shape because it comes together like an actual clam. The heights vary on this from 6 to 14 feet. Again, here in the Texas market, we only can do 12 feet. I do believe if we were to service Oklahoma, it will be shipped out of our Dallas location. So with that, when we do our designs, we like to include something that's called link slabs. And our link slabs are slabs that are supported by the adjacent module. It replaces one full interior module, and we can use this for both configurations, SC1 and SC2. The slabs are typically 6 inches thick, but occasionally we have them at 8 inches thick, depending on the actual design configuration. We can do a checkerboard style that you'll see there on the left, right with the actual hatches. Those are the checkerboard style design. And then we can do a straight run design. With that, when we do a straight run, it really typically depends on if we are limited in footprint and we need to increase the storage volume. So that helps us pick up additional storage volume. We can use our link slabs on detention, retention, and infiltration options. And with that, whenever you utilize a link slab, it will have something that's called a grade slab that comes with it. So if you look at that snippet in the bottom or middle bottom, you'll see that slab that's bridged on top. In that dark blue area at the bottom, you'll have something that's called a grade slab that will hold the system's invert to make sure that water moves freely and correctly within the system. And the purpose of us actually incorporating link slabs is to pick up storage volume and lower costs. So you're removing all of your perimeter walls within that module. So you're saving on concrete and rebar costs. And then you're also gaining more storage volume by removing those walls, which also helps with cutting down the footprint. So I just added a site photo so you can see how it looks in the field. This is a checkerboard style with the link slabs. So our module designation, we have one interior module, which we call our A module. It is open on all four sides and is surrounded by other modules on all four sides as well because it's open. With that, we have our perimeter module. So if you look to your right, all the other ones that you see outside of the A are what we call perimeter modules, which they have one or more sides exposed to soils, and this is also open for pipe penetrations and connections. At the bottom on the A module, we have our short wall where we have our door. The doors actually go all the way down to the system invert to allow the water to completely drain out of the system. On the long side, you have what we call windows. Those windows are like your standard windows that have that portion right under the lip of the window. So with that, once water levels are lower than the bottom portion of that window, we have something that's called a thermoduct that sits below that window that's at 4 inches diameter that will allow water to continuously still drain. It will be a slower process, but it will still be able to drain throughout the system and out of those or on those side walls. So this is just a diagram to kind of just show you all the different ways that stormwater can flow through our system. Our system does sit on a 0% slope, so it is drained by gravity unless you actually put a pump inside of the system itself. But wherever your outlet pipe is really just going to determine which way that water just wants to drain out. But there is no limitations on where it can drain. It will drain out of the system and have less than a 1% left in the system of stormwater. So the materials that we use on our storm capture is first butyl rope, which is a rubber sealant that goes on the horizontal joints. Some people call it ram neck. Some people call it butyl rope. So it just depends on, what you've heard it by or call it. Next, we have non-woven geotextile fabric, which is a roll dimension and 15 by 300, and it prevents fine soils from entering into the system. Lastly, we have joint wrap, which is a self-adhesive wrap that goes on the vertical and top joints that prevents fine soils from entering the system. Everything that you see here is what we would consider a soil type application. So typically when our engineers send us plans, if we're in a preliminary state, we'll walk through the design. Automatically, all these things go with this type of design, regardless of what is the outcome of what they're trying to get. You'll still get the soil type applications, but we'll determine from there, once we move through the project, if we need to incorporate anything else for us materials that may change it to a water type application instead of a soil type application. So, and speaking of the watertight application, this is our watertight application here, which is a plastic liner that is customized per project and it's installed by the contractor. With this, the watertight liner is sandwiched between the geotextile fabric and that liner. If you could see that dark black line at the top, it has to wrap around the system itself. With this, you don't have to actually tie it down. They could put sandbags on top of the system to hold that liner on top of the system itself before filling in with their excavation or excavated soil. With that, I typically ask my group when I'm presenting, what do they see differently or why do they think we would need a watertight application? So since this is virtual, I kind of want to get some interaction since I can't see anyone. Does anyone know why we would want to use a watertight liner on something like this for detention? I won't bite. Anybody?
Apparently. Are you sure? You won't bite? So would it be just to control what water goes in and what water goes out and where it goes in and where it goes out and stuff?
Okay. Well, with our system, we sit the modules very close together. So you will get very little water seeping out. One of the main reasons why we want to include watertight liner is that depending on your application, if you're using it for harvesting or any type of irrigation purposes, since it's meant to hold water indefinitely, we will want to actually make it watertight. Another reason would be if it's near any type of structure. So if we're near a building foundation, parking lot foundation, things like that, where lateral loads will eventually get pushed against the side of the system. We'll want to make sure that it's watertight just in case over time if there's any shifting. Lastly is if we have any soil contaminants. If we're not trying to introduce contaminants to the soil, or if there is soil contaminants, we're not trying to introduce to the water, vice versa. That will be another reason why we want to actually include a watertight liner. So those are the main reasons. Really, it's just I have a project right now that I'm working on, and it came in. We've been working on this since the summertime, and they just reached out 2 weeks ago saying that they had soil contaminants. So kind of just had to pivot, added the watertight liner to it, and we're currently working on pricing it to the engineer currently. So thank you for the response. I appreciate it. So I love the interaction. It makes me not stutter over my words because I feel like I'm talking to people. So with that, I have a slide where you can kind of see where the application or how the application is being applied. Again, these are older photos where they were tying down the liner, but now again, you can just throw some sandbags on top of it and you're good to go. So our system is HS20 rated, which is a design stand vehicle loading for bridges and highways. It represents the heaviest vehicle expected to drive on a road or a bridge. This includes ambulances, most fire trucks, cement mixers, and semi-trailers. The HS20 is not a mining truck, farming equipment, compactor, crane, track vehicle, etc. So as you can see, you can actually use those construction equipment over our system in the field. We just need 6 inches of cover over it before they actually do that. And we always say if you can drive over a bridge on the US highway, you can drive over our storm capture. So with this, you're getting a robust system. I always tell clients that this is like the Ferrari of detentions. So you're really getting an engineered product that is designed to stand, I'll say 100 years plus, because we're dealing with precast concrete. So if you want that longevity, this what comes along with it, and the pricing will come along with that as well. So I do have a video in here just to show you how the install looks. I always say it's like everybody played with Legos once upon a time in their life. So these are just huge Lego cubes. And the plans that you get is the design if you're actually working to build a certain configuration. So with that, in a pre-construction meeting, they'll talk about crane setup, where they plan to start. And from there, we'll dispatch our modules to come to the site so they can have an easy install. A lot of times they will sit the actual lids to the side so they can get the modules in. And when they have a break between trucks, then they'll start adding some of those lids so they're not held up. This install was done in 1 day, and this is a 6.5 foot SC1. So this is the first configuration that we have, the bathtub design with the base and the lid. You can also see the materials being installed there with the butyl rope and the joint wrap, etc. And then you also see the non-geotextile fabric at the bottom. One of the cool things about our system is we don't need a slope running for dear life. So whenever they actually dig in the hole for the detention itself, all we need is 1 to 2 feet around the perimeter of where our systems should be for excavation purposes. That'll save the contractor money because they don't have to keep digging extra space just for these modules. So I'll let the video play out. At this time, because this is my last slide on storm capture, does anybody have any questions? If there's none in the chat, I can't see the chat, so I can't ask or answer the questions if there are questions.
I'm keeping an eye on chat for you, and I'll certainly let you know if there are any questions for you. No, I love this video. It's great. It just really shows the whole process there. That's fantastic.
Thank you. I have an install here in Texas that is actually starting on the 17th. We're doing a case study on it. So our marketing team is going to have a videographer come out, and they're going to do a nice little write-up and send it out to everyone in the Texas market, and I'll be posting it on LinkedIn. So I'll be excited to share. If anybody end up following me on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see that project and that design, but it incorporates our storm capture and one of the other products I'll be speaking on, the NSBB.
That's
So
great.
this will,
Great.
thank you. And that's all something we can do in the Oklahoma market as well. So whenever that time comes where we do start making leeway with stormwater in that market, we can have marketing come out and do case studies, and that'll help get the word out on whatever products that are being pushed. So I'm just going to jump in, and this one is going to be shorter because this is a product that it's off the ground in our California market, but we're trying to expand it across the United States. And one of the positive things for you all, we have a enclosures plant in Oklahoma, and our enclosures plant is plastic. So we're trying to get the resin for these actual modules correct with testing and plan to start producing these out of Oklahoma. So once that happens, if y'all end up moving to detention, this may be the first option over a storm capture that will be shipped from Dallas versus a local shipment. So with that being said, this is called CUDO. Our CUDO is a modular plastic cube that's used to create compact underground storage systems, has a unique opening with structural integrity that increases the water storage, and it makes it easier for inspection and maintenance. And then once you can see how the CUDO looks, you can kind of see what I mean with it makes it easier for inspection and maintenance. It is made in USA, currently California, hopefully soon Oklahoma, molded polypropylene plastic, and it is HS20 rated. CUDO is lightweight. Each one of these cubes are roughly around 21 pounds. As you can see with the CUDO on the right, it has a spherical design, so it is very open. So when it comes to maintenance, they can easily come in with a back hose, put that back hose down there and clean the system out. So that also will prevent a lot of clogging in the system itself. No one will actually be able to get down in there, but they'll be able to actually clean out the system. So that is one of the positives. With that, 90% of this cube will be utilized for storage volume. The other 5% is the cube itself. It is 24 by 24 by 24 inches. And again, it's very lightweight, so it's easy to handle and easy to install. It does have minimum numbers of components. So I don't know if you can see from the picture, it has like a line right in the middle. It is two pieces, snap together, snap apart. So it makes it very easy for them to get in the field, have that install, and get out of there. This can use native soil, so that saves the contractor on money for buying additional soil. Here we use sea sand. I'm not sure what the Oklahoma market would use, but that would save the contractor money on bringing in additional soils. 18 inches is the max pipe size, but we can have a connector, structural connector, if we do have to have multiple pipes that are much larger. So with this, the max cover over this system is 5 feet. Minimum cover is 2 feet. If it is going somewhere that's going to have live loads, we'll have to include a geogrid. And that geogrid is not mandatory if it's not going somewhere that is going to have live loads. With that, a geogrid basically just evenly distributes the live load across the system, so we won't have any failures. At the bottom, you can see we have a CUDO 1, 2, 3, and we also have a 4 as well. But depending on if we're going to have storm capture in the same market as CUDO, then we would not push the 4 because the storm capture will be cheaper at that point. On the right, you can see the different components. You have your bottom panel, but the CUDO cube itself, side panels, and if we're stacking these for a deeper detention, we'll have a coupling and a pipe panel for those pipe connections. Added a typical section here so you can kind of see how it will look. And when I talked about that connector, if you look at the left, you can have a catch basin that can have multiple inlets to connect to the system. With that, since no one can actually get into the CUDO itself for maintenance, One of the things, or inspection, I should say, one of the things that we always pitch is using inlet filter so we can catch all that sediment before it's introduced to the system, and that will give it more longevity. Uh, if I remember correctly, these typically last 50 years or more. So you're still getting a long-lasting product with the plastic. As far as excavation around the system, you only have 12 inches of excavation. You'll have perforated panels or partition panels for your maintenance accesses. And this system has to be completely wrapped in geotextile fabric and wrapped in watertight liner to make sure the water is held into the system itself. So this is how it would actually arrive to the site. They're neatly nested on pallets. I always think about the grocery store. I used to work at a grocery store in high school, so it just reminds me of the groceries that came out on pallets. You can get about 30 modules on each pallet. So if you do have a smaller site, you really can service that site with really one truck if you have a smaller site. So that cuts down on the freight costs as well. So I just added some install pictures, and when I said they were lightweight, you see that guy down there just picking them up 2 by 2 and placing them. One of the things I like about that bottom left photo is you can just see how flush it is, where there's no opening. So we're not relying on aggregate for storage. All your storage is being held within inside that cube, so the contractor doesn't have to worry about going out and buying aggregate for the project. So that saves them money on their project itself. So just a few frequently asked questions on CUDO. It is traffic rated. We need 2 feet of cover so we can have that traffic rating along with that geogrid. The max cover on the system is 5 feet. We can stack these 3 modules tall, which will be 6 feet. If it's an area that does not have our first product I talked about, storm capture, then we can go 4 modules, which will be 8 feet. Again, we don't rely on aggregate for backfill, so this is cost savings for the contractor. It takes 2 minutes per module to assemble. So that is a very quick install. They can get in there in one day and get in, get out. That I'm pretty sure our engineers would be happy about that. We do provide an installation manual, which we currently combed through and rewrote earlier this year. So it's nice and brand new and ready to be used. We cannot go beyond HS20 loads with our CUDO. With our storm capture, since it is an engineered product, we can go heavier loads than HS20. We actually have one that's aircraft rated, but with this, we cannot go past HS20. You can get lead credits. So I don't know if anyone is aware of lead credits, but you can get lead credits with all of the products that I mentioned today. It is made of injected molded polypropylene plastic. And with this, you wouldn't want to use your standard compactor. You want to use a walk behind compactor. So you're not actually crushing any of the modules or shifting them as well. So that was my last slide on the CUDO product. I just wanted to incorporate that because I know that is a plan for the company to get it pushed in Oklahoma to start being produced. And again, if we make leeway in the Oklahoma territory to start doing underground detention, putting these things in parking lots, getting the water off of these above ground detention basins, being able to utilize more real estate, then this may be one of the first go-tos that you all would be able to, move to because it is right there in your backyard. And I'll pause just in case anyone has a question, comment, concern while I take a sip of water.
Yeah, I don't see any questions in chat at this time. I know someone emailed me and she was not able to type into chat, but I think the settings are open to it. It's just maybe some individual computers might have some issues, but
Okay.
but you guys can always raise your hand too if you have a question or want to engage with Quentin.
Yeah, feel free. The more interaction, the better. Right now, I'm like, I see my computer, no one else, so I just kind of feel like I'm talking to myself at this point. So feel free to jump in and, be involved. No question is not relevant. Everything is definitely interesting to my ears. You may open my mind to something I never heard or thought about. But next, I'll move into our treatment solutions. These will be the last three that I cover. And if I would just keep it, I'll just wait till then to ask questions to the group. So again, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the NSBB. And if you remember earlier, I said that we had two products that are being installed in the next 2 weeks in the Houston market with that case study. This is one of those. Again, the NSBB, which is a nutrient separating baffle box. This is a trash capture and a hydrodynamic separator. So you're getting a two-in-one with this product. Pre-treatment system that removes TSS. So that's your total suspended solids, gross solids, trash, and debris. One of the unique things about this product is it keeps the debris in the dry state. So you see that that cage at the top, the water actually will flow below that line unless you have your 100-year storm comes through there and raises that up. But when those water levels settle, all that trash and debris is collected in that cage, which makes it easier for maintenance to come out and clean out the system. And it also prevents from nutrient leaching in the system itself. So that is one of the go-tos. A lot of people, if they're not really looking for the treatment portion, they look at this for the trash capture portion, because at the same time you're getting treatment and collecting trash, depending on where you're actually located at. So these definitely are really good in coastal areas, just to keep all of that out of our waterways. I do have a video here. It may play audio, it may not, but just let me know after I finish if you couldn't hear it or not.
Here's how it works. A centrally located rectangular screen sits suspended above the static water level to filter and capture gross solids and pollutants in runoff, while hydrocarbons, floating trash, and debris collect in front of the floating skimmer. The lids on the screen system prevent debris loss and nutrient leaching, and proprietary turbulence deflectors work to prevent sediment from becoming resuspended and therefore settling in the lower chambers. Hydrodynamic separation is facilitated by 3 settling chambers used to target smaller sediments and particulate metals. The Skim Boss Max allows for longer detention times for increased total suspended solid settling.
All right, so I snipped that video just to keep it short and sweet. One of the things too with maintenance, if you can see each chamber here, I'll go back. You have access on each chamber, so they can come in with that back hose. This actual area right here opens up, so they're able to access this bottom with the back hose and clean this portion out. Here, these doors at the top slide open, and inside the actual cage, they open up. So they're able to clean out this area as well. There's nothing in the way here to block it, so they're actually able to service that area, keep the system nice and clean. As far as cleaning out the cage itself, all you have to do is just get a net, scoop out all the leaves and debris and trash, and you're good to go.
Here's how.
Okay, I jumped too far. So here's install. We don't have to go with just your standard manway accesses. We can go with hatches as well on top of the system. So it just really depends on where the application is being placed. These boxes come as small as 4x8s, as large as a 12x24. So, and with this, we can actually create a larger box depending on what we're needing to use it for. We have one that's coming off the Mississippi River that's fairly large, that's handling a large flow, and it's a non-standard box. So we're able to engineer these products here and not go with the standard if it's something that we have to go or actually go with depending on the needs of our engineers. So that was quick on the NSBB. The next two, I want to just jump into the two products that we acquired. A little background on Hydro. They have 40 plus years of experience in the stormwater industry. I did mention that they're leading the charge with research and development. They have multiple labs around the United States and in Canada, which is where we're mainly doing our testing at, is in Canada. we gained some water quality experts, and their headquarters is in Portland, Maine. So the ones I'm going to highlight is the first defense and the downstream defender. And at the end, I'll kind of just break down what is the main difference in the two applications. So first, with the first defense, we do have a high approval flow rate with NJCAT and NJDEP. We have versatile capture for settlement, trash, and floatables. It does have an internal bypass, and this cuts down the footprint and cuts down costs. So I do see a lot of times, because we do have a lot of competitors in this area, where we're sizing for the same projects, and we're able to cut down that footprint for some of our customers where they may be getting an 8-foot unit with someone else, and we're able to cut it down to a 6-foot unit. Or we're able to pivot to the NSBB if it's a larger unit, like one of the 10-footers, and bring it down to a 5x10 or maybe a 4x8. So it really just depends on what the application is for. But with this, since they do have high flow rate approval rates, we're able to cut down those footprints. You also prevent washout and save on installation time with our system. With this as a versatile design, one of our main products got sunsetted after we received this one. And one of the things that I do like is, and I don't know if you can see my cursor, but your inlet pipes can go anywhere within this C right here. So that helps the engineer with that design if they do have pipe angles coming in funky different directions. With our old product, you only really had this area to be able to come in with. So it was very limited. So I do like this because we're able to help service our engineer and not make them really change up their design if they're further along in the process. So the next bullet point accepts multiple inlets. Another cool thing is you can have a grate inlet or curb inlet directly on top of this. So instead of having just your typical manhole or curb and gutter, you can have your actual hydrodynamic separator acting as your curb and gutter. So that, in my opinion, I just think that's very cool. You're cutting down on a structure, saving money to your client. That's one of the main things that we're trying to do, service and save money here. You can have this inline or offline. So I don't know who all's on the call, if you know what inline and offline is. Inline is basically what you're seeing here. Pipe comes directly to the system itself, or I should say come directly to the system itself and then leave out. Your offline scenarios will have a different box here, excuse me, and then the water will flow to the system to, actually reduce some of the water volume that's coming into the system itself. So it really just depends on application and design of what the client needs, but we can do both configurations of offline and inline. It is HS20 rated, and we also can have a customizable sump. And what that means is if you are servicing an area that picks up a lot of sediment and debris and trash, instead of it collecting at the bottom and just sitting there or clogging up the system, we can customize that sump to have a deeper sump for them to actually collect more so the system won't shut down. Excuse me. And lastly, this comes in sizes of 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10. That's the diameter of the system. So if you think about 10-foot diameter, that's fairly large. So that just lets you know we are able to service a wide range of flows. I have a little video here. And it's just really just showing what I depicted with my cursor, where we can have that inlet pipe come in various different angles here. And then also different sizes as well, and multiple pipes. So now you're seeing a storm event coming through. I don't know if my video, I think that was all it was in the actual video there. And I think this is where it picks up here. So you see that storm event coming through. You can see like the brown water replicating untreated water and how the system actually works. So it's creating a vortex at the bottom and coming under that weir area and exiting out where you have your treated flow, and all your settlement trash and debris will be collected at the bottom. This is high flow, so your 100-year storm where the bypass is at. So instead of clogging up the system or the system backing up, it'll be able to go over the weir and exit out your outlet pipe. Here we are. So here's some field install photos with this. And when I say it's easy on installation, everything will be manufactured at the plant, internals and all. So when they get out on the site, they're ready to just take it off the truck and set it in the hole. The only thing they'll really have to do in the field is grout around the pipe and fill in the hole, basically. With that, on our larger units, we do the internal installations in the field. So somebody from Oldcastle will be out there to do those internal installations. And as far as maintenance, this is one of the things that needs to be pushed more, because a lot of times these things get installed and forgotten about. But as far as maintenance, I always say, like, right after you have the install, you'll want to set up a routine just to check it, because every site is different. We can give our standard, go out there 6 months after the install and then set up a 12 to 18 month cycle for your maintenance. But each site is different in collecting different particles and different sediment, and some of these systems back up quicker than others. So the best thing to do is after that install, check it after each rain event so you can see how much is building up, and that'll let you know what routine maintenance you need to have for that particular site. So next is the downstream defender. So we are moving to a different product. The first one was the First Defense. This is the downstream defender. We offer both of these products in every market because they're used for two different things. With this one, it has a strong performance and regulatory approval with Washington Gold and NJCAT. It has high flow with small footprints and high trash and TSS capture with very little washout. We have this nice, neat video here, no audio, but this is a video from the testing lab where you're able to see that 2-year storm come through there. So the first flush, you can see all the sediment being captured at the bottom. That pinkish color that you see is untreated water. Once that water turns white, it's actually cleaning it out. And with this is actually creating a vortex inside, which allows the water to, or the sediment to drop to the bottom. This is representing a 100-year storm. So when that high flow comes through, the good thing about this product is there is no bypass. Everything that comes through this system will be treated. The previous two systems that I showed you have bypasses where it won't be treated because it's bypassing out the system. Here, you're getting full treatment regardless of whatever storm event that you get.
Quentin, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So on systems that don't have a bypass, what types of challenges do you see or have you seen with those regarding like any upstream flooding?
With that, we typically always design accordingly. So when we get the plans, we'll make sure we see what the velocities are coming through those pipes at all storm events. So we're actually designing it to be able to withstand your 100-year flood and that first flush. So we'll make sure that our sizing is capable to handle that 100-year storm. And with that, even with this system, if it doesn't have that bypass, it's designed to handle flows as high as whatever that 100-year storm event will be. And then it also depends on pipe sizes too. So we have our spreadsheets to design for the pipe size that will be coming in, and it will tell us if we need to upsize the pipe because this is going to cause flooding upstream, or this is going to cause some type of backup. But that's basically, we'll handle everything on our side to make sure you're not seeing those problems in the field.
That's really cool.
But,
thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, they're designed to handle those heavy storms. So look at the 2-year for treatment because you're only going to get treatment out of your first flush. And then we also look at the 100-year to make sure we're not causing any flooding in the area with our systems itself. So I have some install photos of this system, just like all of our HDS systems. Each one will be installed at our local plants. If you do get one of the larger sizes, like a 10, 12 foot, those will be installed in the field. It's just because it's just too, I guess you could say, hard for them to ship with internals possibly sticking out on the actual trucks itself. But yeah, very easy to install, just like the last one. You place it, grout around the pipes, and do your backfill, and you're good to go. I have a maintenance video
Ensure
here.
proper function and maintain high pollutant removal efficiencies. There is no need to enter the chamber, and costly, time-consuming dredging operations can be avoided. During maintenance, the floatable pollutants are skimmed from the top surface of the outer ring, and the sediment storage zone is accessed through the center shaft of the chamber.
So very quick and easy on how to clean out the system. Again, just like the last product, we want to make sure we're setting up our own maintenance routine by checking the system after a storm event. And that is basically what's going to help us keep the systems clean. Now, when we talked about these two products, First Defense and the Downstream Defender, the last one that we just talked about was the Downstream Defender. The difference between the two products is that Downstream Defender is also designed to collect oils. So if we're somewhere that needs oil separation or need to collect oils, like near gas stations, things of that sort, parking lots that is picking up oils from cars, that is the design that or configuration that you will want to go with, because it is designed for those uses. The first one is more so like residential, shopping areas, things like that. So typically when we're working with the engineer, we'll ask, where is this going to be located? And that'll let us know what we're designing for. Also, the last one, if you have issues with high groundwater tables, those are able to fully work completely submerged, just like it functions within a 100-year storm and without any bypass. If it is completely flooded, it will still work. So that is the things that we look at before we just throw something out. We'll make sure we're putting our products in the right place before we actually call it good. Lastly, we do have a design tool. Hopefully in the near future, you all be able to utilize this. Currently, we're still trying to integrate everything and just have one design tool, but currently we have two separate ones, one for the hydro products and one for the legacy Oldcastle products. But what I think is neat is our engineers can get on the design tool. They can throw in their plans, lay out where they will want their detention, put in all their site-specific information, and it will produce the plans for them. The same thing that you will get from our engineering team, they'll be able to get it. With that, they'll receive a PDF version and a CAD file version. So if they needed to submit to the city or anything like that last minute, or just to get something in, they'll have that right at their fingertips. And I'll get an email saying that they utilize our system, and I'll reach out to those engineers and help them optimize it, or just provide pricing. But with that, I got to my last slide. Do we have any questions? As you can see, I covered Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So if you have any questions or future questions, my email is on the screen, along with my phone number. Feel free to give me an email or a call, and we can move forward. But do we have any questions in the chat, or anybody want to come off of mute and ask a question?
Yeah, there's none in chat right now. So yeah, if anyone has any questions for Quentin, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. You can also type into chat if you like. You did a great job, though, of explaining all the different products and their capabilities and some of the design features and stuff like that. So I appreciate your presentation very much. That was very helpful.
Thank you. And just for everyone that's on the call, Oldcastle, we do have so many different departments within the company itself. So right before this presentation, I was talking to Rebecca about introducing her, and I don't know where everybody's, if you're engineers, if you're contractors, what your background is, but introducing her to our regulatory manager. With that, we are trying to, help y'all push the needle with getting stormwater in, y'all's territory. And that is actually, that is his role, to actually help move our products and help different agencies get approved. So if there's any feedback that y'all can provide Rebecca to, if you would like to see these products to start being utilized in your area, I think everything is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting people to actually do it. I mean, I think it's welcome. I think it's interesting. It's just getting people to actually say yes and go forward with it. So I think that's some of the challenge sometimes. But
Yeah. And before I go, I'll say we actually had one of these products installed in Oklahoma. I believe it was the first defense. So we know we can get there. But again, just like Rebecca said, it's just getting people on board to actually utilize it. But I think it starts with conversations like these and making sure the conversation continues.
sure.
But
All right.
I'll
Well, go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say I'll stop sharing and we can close
Okay.
out.
Great. Well, if you'll hang out for just a sec, we can just be here for just a minute or two if anyone has any questions. If not, I will stop the recording, and I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. And it's a little chilly today here. I don't know what the weather's like down there, but